Welcome to part 4 of Module 1 on this course on risk management for farming in our enterprises. And in this part 4, we are now looking at the course objectives. I think it's imperative so that you understand the objectives of this course. It is said that nothing gets transformed in your life until your mind is transformed. That's a saying by Ifeanyi Inochi Unoche. Now, this saying actually also resonates in farming. Nothing in your farming journey will be transformed until your mindset is also transformed. What am I talking about? It's the way you see farming. If you see 1.9 hectares, are you actually seeing an opportunity or a hindrance or a threat, as it were? What kind of innovation are you actually seeing in your farming journey? So what we're actually bringing to the fore in this course is basically transformation. And I actually indicate that we are not bringing information in this course, but transformation. So we're looking at what we call the zero to hero journey. And we are demonstrating that ourselves, we started with 1.9 hectares of land, which was very bare, to an enterprise that now is one of the premier agricultural enterprises that actually supplies some of the major chain stores in Zambia. In my view, you too can actually have also the zero to hero journey if you follow some of the insights that we will share in this course. So like I indicated, this is a farming enterprise that started bare land 2017, and by 2023, it's actually attracting quite a lot of visitors from US Vice President, obviously also the Managing Director of the World Bank. So this transition obviously doesn't come by accident. There's quite some very meticulous transformation that happened on this enterprise to get to this level. And we think this is something that agri-SMEs out there can actually transform, provided they begin by transforming their mindset. So we are not bringing information on the fore, but we are actually bringing transformation in this course. One thing that I would actually indicate is that with this course and all other courses that are actually on the Panuka AgriBiz Hub learning platform, don't watch them the way you watch soccer or movies. Just cruise through and then lay back in your chair, no notes. What we would actually advise is that have a notebook. As you go through some of the tidbits that we'll actually be sharing, resonate with your farming journey or ambitions, just in case you're still just at planning stage. So make sure that you create some of these actionable items. And if you're already farming, just cross-check. Make sure that if there's anything that needs to be fixed in your farming journey, based on the insights that we're sharing on this platform, ensure that you actually put that into practice. Farming by its nature is not the kind where you can actually be doing perpetual research. It's about action research. Know a bit, and then as you get this information, you begin to refine your farming journey. That's basically how you get it right in farming. So earlier I did talk about the issue of the objectives of this course, which is basically the focus of this part. Let's look at the Panuka case study first, just for you to appreciate the objectives of this course on risk management. So I'm going to become a storyteller for a moment. And the first story, a real one, that actually happened to me and my team at Panuka Farm, is that when we started farming, the first crop that we ever did was actually broccoli and cauliflower. And guess what happened? I was actually working in one of the chain stores, and I looked at the price of broccoli and cauliflower. It was so good. And straight from the chain store, I went and bought seedlings for broccoli and cauliflower, started preparing the land. I remember we actually planted 2,000 broccoli and 2,000 seedlings of cauliflower. That was the first ever crop that we actually ever did on Panuka Farm. And everything went well. Remember, when you're just starting, you pay attention in terms of pests and all the other forms of diseases. And we had a very good, crop. But one experience is that at the time when the crop was actually getting ready, we actually got ourselves into summer. Like, sun was blazing hot in October. We had an order from one of the chain stores like, hey, you've got broccoli and cauliflower. And they actually told us that they didn't have broccoli and cauliflower in the market. And it felt so good. And when you're actually beginning to farm, you actually love the calculator quite a lot. You even begin to punch the numbers and they're looking good. I've got 4,000 heads, 4,000 by whether it's 20 shillings, 20 kwacha, 20 rands, 20 pula, whatever the currency is in your country. It looks good. So I was already calculating. So when the first order came through, we wrapped the broccoli and cauliflower, and I actually personally delivered this order to this chain store. And I was actually there on the queue waiting to usher the broccoli and cauliflower. Now, once I was there, I began to see something in the broccoli and cauliflower which was wrapped. Some kind of green caterpillars or maggots, if you like, start coming out of the broccoli and cauliflower. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then the gentleman who was actually receiving the products, like, hey, bring the products. And I'm just there shell-shocked. And then he comes up to me and he looks at the broccoli and cauliflower and he's like, what is this that you have delivered? And he was like, if you don't want to be banned for life, before management actually sees this product, better you take it away. And expeditiously packed all the broccoli and cauliflower and drove very quickly out of the premises back to the farm. And then we started unwrapping the broccoli and cauliflower and just realized there was a lot of infestation we actually didn't realize. Now, that was a serious baptism into the farming realm. So that is incidence number one. Incidence number two, about greenhouse farming. So after some years of farming in open fields, we thought we need to actually transition to greenhouse farming. So what do? Just like any other farmer who's starting, every time you're actually looking at minimizing costs. So in my view as well, going, greenhouse, I looked at, probably we'll actually go the DIY route, which is do it yourself, so that we can cut down on the costs of conventional greenhouses. So one young man claimed he could actually do greenhouses and came up to us. We bought all the materials that was needed and put it together, and it looked good. We actually had one DIY greenhouse at the time. But before we could actually plant anything, just little wind came one night, and then it sank in. Baptism number two. What do? Well, tried a bit of resilience, put it together again. It stayed for a few months leading to the rain season. But the first night of the rain coming, again, the greenhouse sank in. And this time we actually had crops inside that greenhouse. I remember we actually had English cucumber. Now, that was an indelible lesson for me of how not to do farming, especially when it comes to infrastructure. And we get to talk about some of these aspects much later. So again, that's one huge experience. By the way, when I actually put together the costs of these greenhouses, it was actually almost double the cost of what I would call a bespoke greenhouse that is tried and tested. So that's story number two. Let's look at also story number three. This was about baby cabbage. So there's big cabbage, that would be like 5 or whatever number of kgs. But there's also what is called baby cabbage. So again, I was actually motivated by the price that I saw in the chain store. And what do? Went ahead and planted quite a lot of baby cabbage, because actually baby cabbage was fetching double the price compared to the big cabbages. Guess what happened? At the time when it actually got ready, You've got like 3,000 heads of baby cabbage. And then in a week, this off-taker tells you, I only need 300 heads. So you're supplying, no other market, no one wants baby cabbage. And eventually you actually realize it's actually overgrowing, it starts sprouting. And I remember we actually lost quite a lot of baby cabbage. Now, why am I giving you these scenarios? These risks that I've just talked about, from the broccoli and cauliflower story, the greenhouse story, it could actually be someone who's just retired and you're actually using your pension money to start farming. Now, especially the greenhouse story that I talked about, this was quite expensive. Like I said, it was double the conventional price for a bespoke or off-shelf greenhouse. There are chances that you could actually end your farming journey before you actually start, because you spend too much and you make these huge mistakes that swallow your entire pension, your entire gratuity, or even a loan. So ourselves, we have walked this journey. And what we are trying to do is to give back to you so that you reduce the learning curve. We paid for the school fees ourselves, but we want to make sure that you, who is coming after us, reduces the expenses that are attributed to trials and the different mistakes that actually come, say, from the broccoli and cauliflower story that I talked about. The issue of DIY, trying to minimize costs in the long run, you actually end up paying double. And then also the baby cabbage story that I talked about. So, in most of the countries, you actually realize that there's quite some element of solidarity on the roads, where as you're driving, just in case there's traffic police on the other side, you actually find those that are coming in the opposite direction will show you some blinkers, basically to warn you that, hey, take it easy, there's traffic police where you're going. And that's us. We have actually walked the journey. We know where the traffic police are. And what we're actually trying to tell you is, hey, watch out for these risks. And that's exactly what this course does. It's about warning you where potential danger is, so that as you go about with your farming journey, you actually take note of these potential risks. Reduce the learning curve, but also don't pay too much in terms of remedial measures, because your farming journey might actually end before you start if you don't pay attention to the juicy nuggets that we're actually bringing in this course.